For the last 2 years, we've been told that the cost of living crisis was over. 2021 to 23 was a one-off, a freak combination of a pandemic and a war. Central banks did their job. Interest rates went up, inflation came down, and the system went back to normal. But just a few years later, we are living through another war-induced energy crisis. That's the second time in 5 years. This isn't just bad luck. It's a reflection of some deeper shifts in the way that global capitalism functions. 3 structural forces are remaking the global economy, and none of them are going away. The first is climate breakdown, which is damaging harvests and pushing up food prices every year. The second is geopolitical fragmentation. From Russia to Central Africa to the Middle East, we're seeing supply chains built in the 1990s breaking down. The third is corporate concentration, which means that when a shock hits, the oligopolies that dominate every essential marketplace mark up the stuff that we need to survive. That's greedflation, and it's made the cost of living crisis so much worse. Policymakers have only one response to rising prices: raise interest rates. But raising rates doesn't fix any of these problems, and it pushes lots of people deeper into poverty. Higher rates work when inflation comes from too much demand. But this inflation is coming from missing supply, from binding capacity constraints in food, energy, and essential goods. You can't hike interest rates and conjure a new oil field into existence. All you can do is force households to absorb the shock through lower real wages. The cost gets paid by those at the bottom. The profits are captured by those at the top. None of these challenges are going away. In fact, they're going to get worse as climate breakdown accelerates and countries wrestle over the consequences. Our economies will continue to falter and governments will fail to respond. So far, it's been the far right that has profited from these trends. Just look at the recent UK local election results, where Reform UK swept up votes in poor areas as Prime Minister Keir Starmer utterly failed to deal with the cost of living crisis, even though he was elected to fix it. But Reform doesn't have a plan to deal with the global crisis of capitalism, nor to challenge the economic orthodoxy that's preventing us from responding. They're a party funded by billionaires, so they'll just end up reinforcing the status quo. These inflationary shocks aren't going to stop, and our politicians seem either unable or unwilling to deal with them. There's only one way to get out of this mess. We need to decommodify the means of subsistence. That means taking the basic essentials that we all need to survive and providing them cheap or free, just like we did for healthcare with the NHS. That means common ownership of essential services, from energy to water to housing, so everyone who needs them can access them. But that requires a fundamental break with the logic of neoliberal capitalism, and we're not going to get that without a fight.